Hello, everyone. Okay, so first I want to say I'm sorry that all you're able to see is my wheel. Um, if you all watch my podcast, I mentioned my camera issue that I'm having right now. So right now I'm having to stay on my webcam. Um, but for this, it's a demo, so a tutorial, so you don't really need to see anything but what's going on the wheel. I have my I'm going to do a plying demonstration. Um, I have, you've seen in my first and second episodes, I have my Ramadil fiber here that I spun up. I have let it sit, my second bobbin here. I've let it sit for about 2 weeks now. So it's well rested. Um, to kind of match the remainder of the fiber, especially on the first bobbin, which has been almost about 8 months now that it's sat. Um, so I thought this would be a good demonstration because when I ply this, I'm going to have to ply it a little bit differently than a normal ply of two fresher bobbins that haven't sat for such a prolonged period. The reason being is because the longer your singles sit on a bobbin, the more relaxed that single becomes. But it's not a true definition of what your finished yarn would be. Because as soon as you wash your yarn, that twist is going to come back and it's going to, and if you don't ply it properly, you're going to have a very unbalanced yarn. So it's kind of a tricky situation. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my leader, run through my orifice. And of course, especially for the amount of spinning that I'm going to have to be doing on this, because it is a lace, I'm going to oil all parts of my wheel that can be oiled pretty significantly. Um, I'm very generous with my oil, and the reason being is because it's a workhorse. Um, and so you even want to be sure to oil the inner parts of your actual wheel. A lot of people kind of ignore this part of their wheel, and then it doesn't get the oil that it needs, and it doesn't function as well as it can or should. Now here I have a tensioned lazy Kate. You can have any kind of lazy Kate. Even I see some people use a shoebox and some knitting needles punch through it. Um, I like this tensioned one because as I ply, my bobbins don't spin around constantly on me and get wrapped up. Now, one problem with spinning this fine of yarn is trying to find your ends. There's one. I kind of like to stick it against my pant because it kind of sticks down there. Now you'll see, now this has a lot of twist, but you'll see that hopefully try to give a better angle. You'll see what I mean at the fact that it's not a true, you see that single? Now when I spun this, it sprang back significantly. Now it's just kind of like a loose, that's not a true definition of the amount of twist that is actually in this yarn. So I'm going to bring both of my singles and put them together. And then I'm going to loop it through both singles through my leader and kind of fold it back like so. Now I'm going to figure out which one is my farthest bobbin from me, and that's going to be my top strand. So I'm going to put my finger through, and this is going to be my top strand, and this is going to be my bottom one. And I'm not going to remove my finger from the center because it's going to help keep my two singles separated so that they don't get twisted all around each other and make a huge mess. Now, typically, I always get S twist and Z twist confused. Typically for handspun, your singles are spun clockwise. When you ply, you're going to spin counterclockwise. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on that. And I'm going to adjust my wheel for the uptake. For plying, you want quite a bit more uptake than you do for singles. Oh my goodness, it doesn't want to take up. Sometimes if your leader is real slippery like this one is, it doesn't want to take up like it should. So you sometimes have to kind of turn your bobbin to get it started. Now usually about the first yard or so of your ply, it usually ends up being trash because it's kind of you trying to figure out the amount of tension that you require. And this one just, oh, no wonder it's not wanting to take up. It also helps to put your drive band actually on your bobbin. See, even people like me who have been spinning for quite some time make really not so smart mistakes. So let's see if that helps. Oh yeah, there we go. You're going to want a good amount of speed going for this. Plying, you're going to treadle a lot faster. And I like to run my hand back so I can control where the twist is going in and when it goes in. You can also, and you'll see my finger never leaves the between. It always keeps my two singles separated. And you can also let it go, treadle, 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 feed on. Let go, treadle, 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 feed on. But I am a control freak, and I really like having the control of running my fingers back, and it allows to feel the amount of twist. A lot of spinning has to do with feel. When you're spinning singles, when you're plying, it really is something that you feel in your fingers. Now I'm not grasping the yarn, I'm just kind of slightly pinching just to help keep the twist from really entering past my fingers. And I just keep feeding it on. And now I'm going to show you the amount of twist that I'm putting in for this ply. Since it's been resting for so long, you'll see when I go back how quickly, hopefully you can see, you see how quickly it runs back on itself? That is about the amount of twist that you typically want for a single that you know you're going to ply. Normally, if your bobbins have only been sitting for a couple of weeks to a month or so, not almost an entire year, the amount of twist that you want to have, let's see if I can get it, is going to be about like this. It still plies back because remember, when you wash it, the twist is going to relax and the fiber is going to bounce back, the crimp in it, and the twist will relax some. And so, yes, it is plying back on itself, but it's much slower of a ply back. And that's typically what you want normally for your plies. But again, since I let these bobbins sit for way too long, I'm really adding a whole lot of extra twist. See? You see how quickly that goes back? So, and also, some people say, oh, you don't want any ply back when you ply your yarn. If you do that, your yarn is going to be underplied after you wash it. And what will happen then is you will have big loops in your yarn. Your yarn won't be as strong. You're going to have gaps within your ply. And it's just not going to hold up like a yarn should. And when you knit it, you also will remove a little bit of that twist as well, because when you knit, you remove twist just out of the natural motion that knitting makes. It's not much, but it is there. So an underply is about like, let's remove a little bit of twist. An underply, you see how I really have to kind of force it to ply back? That's an underply. Or some people say not to have any ply back at all. And you see how that has next to no ply back at all. That really, now I really got to add the twist because I just took it all out of my yarn. So let's get the twist back into here. You can also, there we go. You can also, some people, they ply back, ply back, ply back, ply back, and they go all the way, and then they feed on. So there's lots of variances. I like to just bring my hand back to my waist, roughly, and then bring it up. Bring it back to my waist, and then bring it up. Also, another important thing to remember, if you don't have a fancy woolly winder, your bobbin is going to fill much faster when you ply than when spinning your singles. So you really need to pay attention to changing it. And you don't change it to, from the first hook to the fifth hook or anything like that. You just move it up a hook, and then once you reach to the top, the last hook, then you work your way down the hooks one by one, and you just go back and forth in that motion. If you skip hooks, then when you go to unwind your yarn, you're going to have more difficult of a time because you will have yarn piled on top of yarn that isn't ready to come up off the bobbin in a synchronized way. So I hope this tutorial has helped. And if there are any other specific tutorials that you would like to see, please let me know down in the comments, and let me know in the comments how you like this one. If you want a different style, if you want a different view, if this view didn't work for you, just let me know down in the comments. Since this is my first tutorial for you all, I like to know what works for you and what is easiest for you and what kind of information you all are looking for. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions I'm able to and demonstrate anything that I'm able to. So you all have a wonderful day and happy spinning.